let's dive into it. Disclaimer for everyone, I just had some dental work done. So I am a little bit out of it, a little bit more so than usual.
It's going to be a loopy AMA.
A loopy AMA, let's put it that way. But I will do my best to say as little as possible, as difficult as that is for me normally. I will let Grant handle the bulk of the chatting today.
How's it going, everybody? Good to see you. Hope you're having fun with the beta. Those of you who have had access so far, I'm sure we'll be talking about that today.
Yeah, we definitely will be. From what I can tell, everyone's having a blast. We talk a lot in the Discord. We share our builds, and everyone has fantastic ideas and feedback and some amazing complaints, which is nice because we get those fixed and people have a better time. But yeah, I think as far as beta test goes, I think that this has been a really, really successful, smooth launch, and the dev team has really been responsive when it comes to getting issues resolved quickly. So you really can't ask for that.
Really great seeing all the stuff that you guys are making. This is what I've dreamt about for 3 years. It starts to be able to see all the things that you guys are making. So really cool. Keep it coming.
Yeah, got one of my favorites opened up here, the Drunk Gandalf Tower.
Exactly.
This is exciting because we do not have curved pieces, and he's managed to make a circle.
I know. When I first saw that, I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, we have curved pieces, but you can only do a certain radius of things with those. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. Of course, we'll have more of those in the future, so you guys can make proper towers and whatnot. But yeah, it's amazing. That's what I'm talking about. Just like amazing seeing the stuff that, exactly what we thought. You guys would make creations that we never thought possible. Especially the way that people are mashing up stuff with the pieces. We originally were going to just allow you to align the pieces and not step on one on top of another, thinking that you wouldn't want to do that. But there's some.
I think Grant may have frozen. I think you froze for a second there, Grant.
Did I? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. You were in the middle of showering our beautiful community members with compliments, I believe.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, keep the cool builds coming because it's amazing seeing what you guys are creating. And we'll get more pieces out there. But what I was saying was, if you guys didn't get it, was we were originally, a lot of cool builds are out there mashing up pieces. We weren't going to allow you to actually put pieces one on top of another, but so many cool builds are coming out with that of mashing up pieces one on top of another that we're going to keep that as a feature now. So those types of things are what this whole exercise is all about, to see how you guys are using it and what you're creating. So it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, if you took that away, I think you'd have a mutiny on your hands. The level of creativity people come up with.
From you alone.
Yeah, I know. From me alone, absolutely. There's quite a few questions, so let's dive into it so we can get to people live. I'm just seeing how close we are to hitting the cap. If we do hit the cap, you guys, there's an overflow channel. So if anyone's asking in text, just send them over to the overflow channel. They should be able to access the AMA just fine. All right. The first few questions are some that I've just gathered from the community over the past few weeks since we launched. So I'll start with one about Dwarven Forge. So what is the process like to get Dwarven Forge pieces from physical to digital? I know they are entirely handmade, so there's no digital files ready for the app. What's that process like?
Yeah, so there are no digital files like the vast majority of other things that come from STLs made for 3D printing or for manufacturing and things like that. So the Dwarven Forge stuff is all scanned by a scanner. So we got a scanner that is really good at getting micro details, so very small amounts of details. So it creates these huge high resolution meshes, and it's automated, so you can put it in there and there's a little arm in there and it moves all around and scans all the surfaces, and then you can, if you need to, flip it over and things like that. But it does multiple passes and then it syncs those together. and merges them into a mesh. And so then we get this, multi-million poly mesh, which is basically similar to STLs that we get for 3D printing, except it also has the texture on there. So we do get color information, which is great. Most of the Dwarven Forge stuff that you have right now out there in the beta is untouched in terms of color. So we're going to balance all that out and do some punch-ups on the texture, but it does an amazing job already. So all that stuff is coming from a scanner, and then once we have that, that goes through our standard pipeline process, which takes these really heavy models and reduces them down to a few thousand polygons each, with corresponding texture maps and what we call bump and normal maps, which basically means it will take these really, really rough models. If you just looked at the model by itself without this special texture on it, it would be like, it would look really bad. But then this, when you render it in real time, it uses that map to kind of push and pull all the points to bring back all the detail that was taken out by the polygon reduction. So we have to do that because, we're running primarily on mobile and, and augmented reality and all of those things, which, especially on the coming AR glasses, are going to really require, low polygonal models for performance reasons. So it goes through a whole pipeline. But yeah, the Dwarven Forge requires the extra step of scanning, but we also get the color with that. So it's pretty cool. Scanner does an amazing job.
Polygonal, huh? Polygonal? What'd you say there?
Yeah. Not polygamy, polygonal.
Gotcha.
Polygonal. Polygons, mini polygons.
Got it. All right. So this is a big one because our beta users are absolute animals. The current 999 asset limit is stopping me from replicating the entire Sword Coast North. How will this be addressed?
Number one, I can't wait to see the entire northern Sword Coast. Number two, we are working on that. It's one of the top things that we're working on. In fact, we just got out of a dev meeting and we've prioritized that up so that you guys can create these amazingly large maps. There's lots of reasons why that is or why it was. First of all, 1,000 pieces sounds like a lot, but when you start putting in all the props and the lights and the minis, I guess it's not really that much. But really, it came down to a limit in the networking stack that we were using underneath, basically the networking code. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty details, but it had a cap on the number of things that could watch at once to 1,000 pieces, and so, or 999 pieces. And so we're kind of refactoring the code such that we don't need to do it that way anymore. We'll have a controller that is watching over everything and sharing that over the network. So we'll get rid of that limit. So it was just kind of the way some of the things were architected before. And again, that's what's great about the beta test is, seeing how you guys use it and the limits that we run into. And, some of the stuff you just don't think about when you're developing it. So all of this stuff is a great exercise to really, figure out what we need to address. And a lot of the work that we've been doing so far, is not only getting some of the bugs fixed for you guys and, getting it to work on other platforms, which is a whole nother story. Another example of where things go wrong, but is really kind of refactoring the code underneath to support all these bigger things that you guys want to do. So there's been a lot of that work underneath. We've got a really great underpinning for moving forward now.
Awesome. Yeah, because I've personally hit the limit one or two times in my life. This being one of them. Yeah, this being one of them. I think I can only roll about 4 dice before I hit the limit, and that's when it just stops. Yeah, no, these builds are getting incredible. I think that when we started, we didn't really anticipate the beta users hitting that cap on day one, which of course they did.
No, we did
they
not.
found out before we did.
And like I said, it sounds like 1,000 pieces sounds like a lot, but then when you actually end up doing it, like these enormous builds, it certainly is not. So we hear you, and we'll fix soon.
Yeah, we've got people building 100 feet tall cliffs for their users to fall, or for their players to fall off and stuff like that. So they do find creative ways to run out of space. I love it.
I know. Well, we want to keep those going.
Absolutely. All right, next thing we got. There are a few other map building applications popping up, such as D&D 1. What makes Arcana different?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly competition out there. It's funny how, I had this idea 3 years ago, and there was hardly any. And it's like a lot of people. This is the way technology and stuff, like out in the zeitgeist, seems to work. Like everybody gets the same idea at the same time, and then just kind of goes forward with it. It's weird. I don't know how that works, but no, I mean that's fine. We always say a rising tide lifts all boats, and it's just validation of what we're doing. But we do think we're special. Number one, we're one of the only major outfits doing augmented reality, so that's a huge deal for us, and we think for you as well, because this is just a great way to play, right? It's making that authentic experience that I was going for in the first place. So you're not always going to be locked behind your PC and those kinds of things, especially as AR glasses come out. Apple's headset is shipping next quarter. Qualcomm and Snap and Facebook and everyone is starting to drop their glasses. It'll be several years till they're affordable and everybody has them, but that's going to be the huge thing there. But yeah, I mean, we want to be on all that stuff, and I totally lost my train of thought. What was the question? Again?
just kind of talking about
Map building applications. Map building applications,
yeah,
right?
the other ones like D&D 1. Everyone's
Yeah.
really excited about, and yeah.
So D&D 1 we knew was going to happen for quite some time, and so we weren't surprised by it, and that's fine. Like I said, it's validation of what we're doing. But what really sets us apart again is being in augmented reality. We're going to be on the glasses. We're going to be cross-platform between all of these different devices. We are mobile first, so it's always in your pocket. You can game anywhere, anytime. You can pick up last night's game, very easily. And so, we're using, terrain and minis that you know and love, like the Dwarven Forge terrain and Reaper minis, and we're bringing a lot more people to the table. And most importantly, we're agnostic. So, we are working with publishers to bring their game systems to us, but there's going to be a lot more of those on our platform. And of course, D&D 1 will just be D&D, right? And we love D&D. That's the reason I started this, and we'll always love them. And we'll support them as long as we can. Who knows? No one knows yet. And I asked the question to their new president when I saw her here at a show recently, whether they were going to still support the OGL Open Gaming License going into 5.5 or 6 or whatever they're calling it. And she wouldn't give an answer. So we'll see what happens, but we'll support them as long as we can. I think it would be silly for them not to maintain some kind of open gaming license like they did, because that's what made 5e so popular. One of the reasons. So like I said, competition is good, but we really want to focus on our customers, you guys, and just make the best tool for everyone that we possibly can.
And I think we're working hard towards that. And yeah, it's important to realize that we are mobile first. I think that's one of the big points we need to keep driving home, because a lot of these other ones, they look fantastic, but really a lot of what you're seeing is just rendering, and what they are showing you is entirely too heavy for most mobile platforms. And we really are
Well,
focused
yeah.
on we really are focused on making sure that no matter what's in your pocket, there's some version of Arcana that you can play with your friends, no matter what they have in their pocket too.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm talking about, being mobile first and being immediate, right? Like you always have your phone or your tablet with you, right? And so, it's much more immediate, and you can just pick up a game session, either in lean back mode or in augmented reality, right? And the other thing is using D&D 1 on your computer, you're probably not going to all be sitting around the same table playing that. It's remote only, really. Our whole thing is designed with augmented reality in mind, so that you're all playing around the same table. Ultimately, that's how we'd like you to play, right? You just don't have to worry about the maps. You don't have to bring all your train over. You don't have to, you can drop it down instantly and immediately start playing. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to move it later. If you saw the funny bit with Joe in our Kickstarter video where Sophia was yelling at him to get his stuff off the table, it's true, right? Like, so, all of those reasons, we think we have something very special. And I'm sure D&D 1 will be awesome, and a lot of people will be using it. But again, we're going to support a lot of game systems, including D&D. And again, they're, especially because they're using Unreal and they're going PC only. It's going to be very hard for them to get on mobile and certainly into augmented reality.
Absolutely. Okay, what is the latest status with Hero Forge? A lot of people are ready to get their custom heroes into Arcana, into the beta, and start playing that way. So what's the update there?
Yeah, we are working with them, and they have an API that we can use. It's just a matter of scheduling it in to our project schedule, basically. So this is something that, we, again, with the beta release, we're, as you've seen, we've already released an updated version to, support more devices and to fix some of the problems and the memory issues. We'll be releasing additional releases throughout the beta up to release. So that might pop out before that, or certainly we will want to start testing it with you guys. It'll be a little bit further down the road, but not too much further. And it'll definitely be there for launch. So it's something that we're actively working on, and we'll be there soon.
And this is one of the ones that I think is really gonna make people excited, really understand how this could be the future of tabletop gaming. Let's talk a little bit about Fog of War. How do you see it being implemented? Where are you at in the process? How do you see it being controlled by the GM? What's the whole elevator pitch for Fog of War?
Yeah, I mean, fog of war is super important, right? And it's funny when you talk about the other like virtual tabletops and whatnot. That's one of the biggest things everybody's talking about, right? Because it's hard to get right. So we're talking about several different ways of doing it. Again, it's on our roadmap. It will be there for launch, but it also might be in stages, right? Because there's several different ways you can do it. There is and this kind of goes with interactive tiles and terrain that have trigger zones, right? Where you can move a mini and a door opens, right? Those kinds of things. So those will be able to set up so you can trigger various things, of which other rooms could drop down, right? So, different pieces could drop down that your players could then go in. There's also the literal fog of war, which is having a bunch of actual CG particle based fog engulfing the map, except for those pieces that you want to clear. And so, of course, the DM will have control over this with the interactive. And of course, this is all being designed out and whatnot. So, legal disclaimer, subject to change. But we're looking. We may have a couple ways to do this. So it might not just be limited one way. It might be a couple of these ways. But you can have players trigger it, like I said, with these trigger zones, or the DM can, in his mode, clear it with some fingers on the tablet, right, to clear away the fog. So there's many different ways that we can support that. But again, it comes down to, you can have, like with earlier tests I did with this, you don't want to just you could have all the pieces there and blacked out, right? But that's not really good because people, just like in real life, it's like putting, pieces of paper or a cloth over the rest of it. You can kind of see where it's going. So that's not a great solution either. So you either want it completely shrouded, right? Or you want different chunks falling down as they encounter it. And that can be triggered automatically with trigger zones and interactive terrain or via the DM. So I imagine that we're going to have, in the end, a combined solution where there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. And we're trying to make it as really cool. But of course, there's performance issues that we always are up against, especially because we're on mobile, right? And in augmented reality. And these are some things that perhaps on the PC version, obviously, we can step up in terms of quality, or maybe one of these methods, like particle-based fog, might just be on the PC. But those are the things that we really have to test and get into on these different devices to see. Particle-based anything and effects are very expensive in terms of performance, especially on mobile. So those are the things that we really have to get into and test and design out.
Yeah, and I didn't write this question down in your in the list of questions I sent you, but since you brought it up, people do ask about the PC version quite a bit. What is that experience going to be like? What is the general outlook on how you expect that to play out, and what's the time frame on getting that in people's hands?
Yeah, I mean, so we're concentrated obviously on release of the iOS and Android versions, right, for launch, phones, tablets, all that kind of stuff. But we are working on a desktop version every day within Unity, right? Since all of this is in Unity, it is pretty simple to translate things across to a desktop version, and we are actually running in a desktop version in the editor in Unity every day. It's a little bit different from input mechanisms and the way things work, but It's not that big a deal to move it over to the PC. We just haven't focused on that yet, but we're always talking about it. It's something that we're going to probably start building out here. And by build, I mean pushing the button, actually building the version for the PC that stands alone to start testing that out. So we've always said that that will come post-launch, but it will be very quickly after launch. Or perhaps coinciding with launch. It just depends on the rest of the schedule and some of the things that we're working on and trying to get in to make, like we said, a really smooth experience for everybody. But it's not a big deal. The main thing is just working with a mouse instead of touch input, and you've got a bigger screen, so taking advantage of that real estate and kind of tweaking the UI a bit, which we also need to do on the iPhone, as I'm sure everybody has noticed on phones, Android phones and iPhones. The UI is really small. That's why we put that slider in there, but that's just a stopgap. Like, we're developing a dedicated phone-based UI that is more, apropos to that screen. And we'll need to do the same thing for the PC. So the underlying gameplay, mechanics, technologies is not the problem. It's just adapting it to input and UI and things like that. So shouldn't be too far behind.
Got it. Awesome. So yeah, there's already a plan in place. There's already, and I tell people, I was like, we do develop it on PC. People are using it on PC while they're creating it for mobile, so it's not going to be a huge leap. To get that going and to get it in people's hands, it's just
It's
a
just
matter of
like,
figuring out how to make it enjoyable.
yeah, as a for instance, like one of the issues that we had was a bunch of, we had, I don't know, I think the original release supported 300 or 400 some Android devices, right? Well, the problem with that, which again, this is why we do a beta test, is to understand these issues. We don't have every device possible, which all you guys have, which is great. Is we were requiring AR Core. Well, a lot of devices don't support AR Core, so they were just left out, and that's why you couldn't install it. So by testing the hardware to see if it's available first, and then not, initializing and not requiring it, that opened up a lot of devices. It's the same kind of thing on the other side, like, being able to support all of that.
Yeah, and I think it went from 600 something devices to what was it? Something like thousands and thousands of devices just by that one announcement.
Into the thousands by letting it out, yeah. So it's
Yeah,
the main thing is, like, with the PC stuff is the same thing. Like, if certain things won't be available, and so we have to, in the code, make sure that, oh, okay, this isn't available, make sure and turn that off, or you get into those little issues. Not a big deal. It's just something that we have to get to.
awesome. Yeah, and by the way, the community thanks you from the bottom of their hearts for getting those devices on there. When we launched, I was heartbroken because so many people were like, "It's not working, it's not working," and the dev team, big shout out to them. They were able to work on it and get it going, and I think it was a few days, less than a week. A week later, we had thousands more devices that were able to run it. Not in AR, but
Yeah,
at least in 3D mode.
thanks to our devs who very quickly troubleshot that, and were able to figure that out. But again, this is what this whole exercise is for, right? Before we go super wide, is having all of you out there with a huge cross section of devices playing with this and finding all these issues for us, as well as, of course, usability and UI and features and all that stuff that you guys want.
Yeah, and just FYI for anyone watching the build, I've got one of our other team members, Brad, in here helping me get this little map built up while we chat. So thanks, Brad. What are some exciting features that we've got around the corner that you want to talk about? Like what's the stuff that's like coming out that you're like, I can't wait to see how they react to this.
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff we don't want to talk too much about yet, but there, a lot of the things that we're working on come from you guys, again, with all of your, input. Like, and a lot of the stuff, that's going into our feed bear and the feature request stuff and upvoting stuff, we knew already. I would say probably 90% of the stuff. Like, we were like, yeah, we know they're going to want that, and I want that, and so on and so forth. But, a lot of those revolve around quality of life building improvements, I call, where it just makes it much quicker for you to create maps, right? Like right now, it's kind of difficult. Well, one thing that we just saw today is Marquee Selection. So now you can just swipe a volume and select everything within the volume, like you do in most other graphics programs or 3D programs. So that's great because now you can immediately select a bunch of stuff, move it up and down with the build plane, move it around the map. So things like that, being able to select and flip and mirror tiles, to be able to copy and paste tiles, to be able to create macros from things so that you can save those down in a card and drag out a room that you like to use over and over again. So lots of things like that. Of course, Fog of War, which we talked about, the Hero Forge stuff that we talked about. We're also doing something really fun involving life scale. So you can go into POV of your character, both in lean back mode here and in augmented reality. So really cool way of doing that, which will be super cool in AR and even more super cool in the AR glasses when it comes out. And kind of, walk around your map. So that's going to be really cool, and really bring you into the action. And, like I said, a bunch of not so sexy stuff underneath. Of course, we're bringing the store online so we can get all those other assets that you guys are requesting in there. More Dwarven Forge, more Fat Dragon, more Reaper, all of that. What else? I have a list. Let me look.
I mean, that's quite a bit right there. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot. Saving to the cloud will be good. We're starting to work on that, which will let you guys save to the cloud, and so it won't be local on your device. So you can, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, and you want to, you can just those will automatically download to your other devices. And if you should ever, damage your phone, lose it, change phones, all that stuff will just download again. So lots of stuff like that, and building enhancements. Oh, and another big thing too that we're wanting to bring in for launch is importing of 2D image maps, so that you can bring it down on the table just like a battle mat, and then you can use that either as negative space or you can use it, as an actual map, because we're building up our library of 3D assets, but it'll be a while before we have everything. And although you guys are amazing at creating pretty much anything, but some things like your homebrew campaign or some really crazy design, you can just bring in the map and then use your 3D minis on top of it, or use that as a template to build on, or use that as negative space, or potentially even have animated maps that give you animated water and stuff under there. So that's another big feature that we think will be really cool for everybody.
Yeah, that will be cool. We've actually had a couple of members, such as King Sax, do some augmented reality animated. He kind of hacked it a little bit to look really awesome, and
Yeah,
it
no,
turned
that
out
stuff is
great.
amazing.
So we're
You can see the
looking forward
potential
to that.
there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Next we have. I ordered all the pieces and a few add-ons, but when might we expect some more Fat Dragon and Dwarven Forge stuff that isn't part of the Kickstarter? Water, lava, more props, etc., etc.
Yeah, we have just been having a lot of discussion about all of this. Our pipeline is up and operational, and majority of it is up, automated, and so we just need to keep cranking assets through. And so we're working with our partners, we're working with Dwarven Forge, we're working with Reaper, we're working with Fat Dragon. We just got off calls with almost all of them this past week, and are identifying the next batch of things that we want to bring in. So there's going to be some exciting stuff coming up. We have just gotten painted the Fat Dragon outdoor terrain from the Kickstarter. So that stuff is coming out of the pipe, and just working through all of the stuff that was painted for the Kickstarter. So all of that stuff is basically in, and we're just working with our partners to get a bunch of other stuff. There's far more that they have than we'll probably be able to get through in a lifetime, but we're just going to start the steady stream of pushing that stuff through the pipeline, so that there'll just be a constant steady stream of new assets.
I did post a little sneak preview of a couple trees the other day, and people seem to like those very much. We're definitely looking forward to getting some green in these builds.
Yeah, that's a big missing piece. That'll be great.
Yeah, how do you think how's the feedback been so far, and what are some of the major issues that we've seen? What are you doing to resolve them? And then, how long do you think it'll be until we get a really what you would consider a strong build, something that you'd be like, okay, we're close.
I mean, there's a lot of the issues initially were, again, it doesn't run on my device, which was memory issues and the AR core stuff not working on Android, requiring that. So those were some of the biggest issues, but a lot of them are again the quality of life build improvements. I want to be able to drag out a piece, a bunch of floors and so forth. So we're working on that, and the copy and paste and the macro stuff, and a lot of things that make it just a more pleasurable and easier build experience, as well as fixing additional bugs, as well as improving performance, so that more people can have we still have yet to go through and really profile, low end to high end devices, particularly on Android, to see what level of quality that we're going to be able to provide in terms of what level of detail with each of the models and textures, like how many lights you can have and things like that. So we need to determine all that and come out with preset settings for that so that you guys can, see that. But so there's the build life stuff, the performance stuff, the it didn't work on my device stuff. And then, a lot of it goes to a lot of the similar things of Fog of War and Hero Forge and things like that. But anybody can go to feedbear.mirrorscape.com, and that is everybody who's submitting bugs and feature requests. All of that is there for you to see, and you can upvote the ones that you want. So definitely take a look at that, and we are actively monitoring that at our dev meetings, and that's where a lot of our prioritization of the roadmap goes. So if you want to see something, make sure it's in there, and that you're upvoting it so that we can prioritize that in the schedule for you guys.
Very cool. Have you spoken to any other companies about getting their assets in Arcana? If so, can you share whom?
Yes, we have many, many companies. We were just at Gen Con, and we're all over that floor. We'll also be at GameholeCon coming up on October 20th through the 23rd in Madison, Wisconsin. So anybody who's in the area or going, please stop by. This is going to be our first booth, which is amazing. So Gen Con, we were just kind of taking a bunch of meetings and kind of sussing it all out. But this will be our first booth. We're actually sponsoring the lanyards. So you're going to have Mirrorscape Arcana lanyards for all the badge holders. So it's a big deal for us. But yeah, I mean, we talked to, a bunch of publishers there that are very interested, like I said earlier, in bringing their games and their wares and their minis and their terrain to Arcana. But no, unfortunately, I cannot tell you which ones, as I assume you probably figured.
Shucks. Well, that leads into something Carton Box asked. He said, hey, so question about the board game thing mentioned way up above, or 5 seconds ago, as it were. If, for example, I bought the Arcana version of the Ghostbusters board game that Cryptozonic Entertainment successfully put out around 2016, it uses a lot of maps and minis, would I be able to use the assets from that game, like the minis or terrain, in other builds? For the sake of simplicity, Clue can be substituted for Ghostbusters, and I think it said favorite up there. I'm not sure what all that means, but the general idea is, can we kit bash?
Yeah. Well, I saw this actually when I was looking through Discord the other night, and I saw, Eric, that you were wanting to wait for me to talk about it. Because,
I
I do
know,
talk.
it's your favorite thing. It's your favorite.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that I wanted from the beginning, right? Like, I want everybody to be able to build like we're doing here, mashing up Dragon Lock with Dwarven Forge, just like you would in real life, right? None of these companies stop you from doing that in real life because you bought the pieces and they're yours. So yes, I really, really push for that with any kind of deal that we're doing. But no, it is not always possible. It will depend on the property, right? Because some rights holders, which shall remain nameless, none of our current partners, which are great, but some of the ones that we are looking at are, major licenses, and they are going to have restrictions on what can and can't happen. Of course, they understand how cool that would be, but we will see. It's going to be. It's unfortunately, it's not a technological issue or problem. It really is a business problem that it comes down to. So I always push for that. I'm going to continue to push for that because I think if you own these things, you bought them, you should be able to use them how you like and kit bash all this stuff. And so far, most of the vendors that we've been talking to and publishers are very much on board with that. So we'll continue to push for that and see how it goes.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's what people want to hear, because they definitely want to have Slimer be one of their options for their Curse of Strahd campaign.
Yeah.
Who would want to be Slimer in Curse of Strahd, right? This isn't really a question, but I think it deserves to be said. Tanis mentions, I just want to say one thing, and I hope I speak for everyone. Everyone at the Mirrorscape and Arcana team has done an outstanding job taking care of all their Kickstarter backers by answering any questions, sharing product updates, etc. I'm beyond pleased with what I have seen and tested. Thank you for providing us with a way to put the tabletop back in tabletop RPG. So, first of all, our little tagline there is sticking. So that's great because we talk about that a lot, putting the tabletop back in tabletop gaming. And second of all, I think, and it goes just beyond the community, and it goes just beyond that, but the communication has been great. I didn't know if you want to speak a little bit on that, but we do talk to the devs every day. The devs hear you guys. Grant hears you guys. We all listen, and we try our best to get things going smooth and get you having a good time, and hopefully telling your friends ultimately. But I just wanted to give you a second to respond to that because it's nice to get a compliment once in a while
Yeah, no,
amongst all the requests.
that's amazing, and we appreciate it very much. And thirdly, Tanis needs to be hired as our PR consultant. It sounds like. So props there. But yeah, no, it's amazing to hear. And I've said this a million times, and on all these AMAs, we're nothing without you guys. And we're here to make a tool that you want to use, a platform that you want to use every single day. To play your games with, and it's so amazing to hear, and we love your feedback and suggestions and better words. That's what the whole point is. But yeah, it is nice to hear, that we have such a great community and that you guys are happy, and that, and props to Eric, might I add, to you, Eric, for watching over this community and for being in there every single day and answering all their questions. Eric has his fingers have to be bleeding with all the typing that he does. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to spend as much time as I would like in the Discord. I only get to dive in every once in a while, but Eric always surfaces all of the most important goings-ons in there, and of course all the feedback that we're getting on the beta. But when I do go in there, it just puts a smile on my face with what a great community that we have and how much fun everybody's having, and it's just a great experience. So I couldn't be happier with the way things work out. When you start this and you have this idea and you start building it, and then you turn it into a business, and then you do a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is terrifying, right? It was our first Kickstarter, and we have no idea what to expect. And I've seen some that go south really bad, and it's like, we did not want to do that, and so we wanted to make sure that we did it the right way. And I'm just so pleased the way that it turned out for being our first Kickstarter. So, Eric, thank you for all of your tireless help, and to the community for being so amazing.
Oh, stop! But no, keep going.
Hashtag end love fest.
Yeah, I think so. You can see that I'm building here. I'm having a really good time. But Carton Box is wondering. I'm interested in what can tie together for trap effects, tile swaps, audio effects. Mostly, I want to tie audio effects to them so I don't forget to handle the traps to begin with. So maybe Carton's saying that he built a map as a DM and he forgets where he put his own trap. So maybe when the mini goes over the trap, it'll make a noise to remind him as well. How do you envision all of that going? How do you envision the automated traps and those?
Yeah, we're still mapping all that out. I have a lot of this, ways that I want to work it, and as we get it into the app, there'll be, figure it all out. But basically, there's going to be we're making it a modular system so that you can have all kinds of triggers. It could be a trigger zone where a mini, you can draw out an area on the map, and if a mini enters it, then something happens. It could be a particular game event. It could be a particular die roll. It could be any of these number of things that could happen in the game can trigger various things, like an animation or of a door opening, right? Like if a trigger zone close to the door, you can have it trigger the door open, or trigger a trap zone, and it can bring the spear trap. Step on a floorboard, and it can, play a creak. So it can turn things on and off. It can play sounds. It can trigger animations. It can trigger traps. So it's basically, cause effect, and you'll be able to string those together and add those to interactive tiles that lend themselves to animation, right? Or not animation, but interactivity. So lots of cool things there. That's going to be a really cool part of the app. And we are designing that out, how exactly it's going to work. And we want to do it right, like I said, so that we can plug other things in the future, and eventually, allow other people to plug things into the future. We talk about user creation tools and how this is ultimately a user creation platform. So there's lots of ideas for the future on all the ways that we're going to let you guys create for this platform as well.
In the newsletter you just dropped, there's some very exciting news. We are planning on opening up our beta test to some more users. And since you said that, we've had quite a few new users join the Discord to find out just exactly how that might happen. I keep telling them we have no idea. So if you have an idea of how that might happen, now would be the time to let them know.
Yeah, so, when we first started the Kickstarter long ago, there's so many moving parts. We said October would be the release date. Obviously, we're not going to make that. Once we got in there, we got the beta out, we got your feedback, really scheduled everything out. It's going to take a few more months, but not that much longer. And so, we just wanted to give our Kickstarter backers, an extra bonus. And so in the coming weeks, we'll be sending out more details about how it works in terms of bringing everybody on. There's a variety of ways that we're thinking about doing it, but basically, we'll probably do it in like a little bit of like tranches, right? Tranches where we just don't want to like have too many people all flooding. We want to make sure that it's working. We also have a few more things to get into the build that we want to fix to make it a little bit more stable and to make sure that the platforms are being supported. But in the next few weeks, what is this? End of October, I think, probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you will be getting emails indicating how that you can join in on the fun. But basically, we're going to get all of our Kickstarter backers in before we ship. And on top of that, some extra exciting news, which we'll share later, but other ways that you can perhaps bring in some of your players as well.
Ooh, great, thanks. Now they're going to ask me about that all day, every day for the next 3 weeks. We got one more, and then I know we got one more, and then we're going to open up the floor to see if anyone wants to say anything in person. Dungeon Master says, "I would love to see."
We're already getting when.
I know. Trust me. They've made reactions. They've made special gifts. They've made all of the when stuff. Once we released beta, I thought it was over. I thought we could stop with the whens, but nope. There's always another when right around the corner. Dungeon Master wants to know. We would love to see some of the in-house games that you guys are running, even if they're just short one encounter sessions. I had loosely mentioned that we're going to start using Arcana for our personal game that we're doing as a team, and he's just wondering if we have any plan to kind of stream that. We did do that one in-person stream with Arcana that went really well, and a lot of people enjoyed watching it. So I think that's the question there.
I mean, we have already talked about that. So we're starting up in an effort for us to play more. I mean, we've been so crazy busy with the beta, and of course still busy trying to get out the MVP product, but we need to take the time to game, not only just for fun amongst ourselves as a team, but also, using the app and playing games together. So we are doing our session 0 next week. So we're going to be creating our characters. One of our developers is going to be Dungeon Master, and then we're going to start playing every week. So we're definitely going to start recording some of them, and we will be putting those on YouTube. So absolutely, those will be coming up.
All right, no pressure at all to not be terrible then, right?
Exactly. You
get
to see all their gaming skills.
I think that's it. If you guys want to ask something live, go ahead and just type raise hand or something in the AMA channel chat, and I will unmute you so you can chat with us. So
yeah, let's hear what you got. Anybody else?
People been typing plenty. Oh, actually, Carton Box said, "Let me know if you need any help editing." I don't. Oh, you know what, dude? You said it. Now we're gonna use it. We're gonna make sure you edit all of our stuff because I hate doing that.
Careful what you ask for.
Nope, he's in. It's too late now. No takesies backsies. Let me see. So anyone want to raise their hand? I got some people typing. Let's see if they're trying to talk. Let's see if they want to chat.
Yeah, put some more questions.
Yeah,
don't be shy.
Come on, guys. Anything
don't be
and
shy.
everything.
I say that, but I know you guys aren't shy at all. So
I know, right? Let me get All right, 3 people are typing. Are any of them saying I would like to ask a question? Let's see. All right, Owen, I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask. That's a great question. So let me get you in here. All right, you should be able to chat. Can you hear us, Owen? Onasaur?
Oh, hello.
There he is.
Hi.
What's going on, bud?
Hi there. My question was in my current group that I'm running, and we're waiting for this for our next campaign. One of the members is colorblind, and another one of the members is half deaf. Now, I know sound isn't really a big thing, but he can only hear in mono. So I was just curious what were the accessibility functions for colorblind mode and any sound.
And maybe you were asking this before because I did come across this in the chat when I was looking through Discord. Was that you talking about that before?
It was not me.
Okay. So so other people are asking for this. So it's something that we're definitely going to look into. Offhand don't have a lot of experience of what that means. Like this is something we'll need to look into, but it's, someone else had mentioned like making it a higher contrast environment, right? For somebody who's legally blind. So it's easier to see. Those kinds of things we just need to look into and talk to some people. Like it would be great to get their feedback on what your gaming group and put it in our feed bear or give it to Eric on what exactly they would like. Because again, I'm no expert in that field, so I'm not sure. But like someone else was saying, like a higher contrast environment, that kind of stuff would be very easy to do. We can just put a filter on the camera with some settings on there to make things pop better. But if there's particular things that they're looking for, I would love to know what those are. Because yes, of course, we'd like to make it accessible to all of our users.
Yeah, Owen, Onasaur, can you open a ticket with me after this chat so we can talk more directly?
Sounds good.
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'd love to keep in touch with you and maybe get you hooked up a little early so that you can run it with your group and see what that would involve, because that is very, very important to us. That our whole thing since the beginning has been we want as many people as possible to be able to enjoy this, which means getting it running on as many devices as possible, having it as accessible as possible, having it as easy to understand and run as possible. These are our priorities, and there's a lot of other fantastic projects out there, but not a lot of them are as easy to use as we're trying to be. We're trying to be point and click, and that's it. And what you've just brought up is the next step as far as what's important to us on that level. So we do want to make sure everyone feels included and can enjoy it, and whatever we can do to make that happen, we want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just, it'd be great to get feedback in that regard. And obviously we'll do some research on our end. And if you just look at, Apple's accessibility settings, a lot of that stuff is in there. So, I don't imagine any of that stuff is too hard, but it would be great to hear from you guys, what they're looking for specifically.
Honestly, I think the next question is going to be, how can I get this awesome map that Eric just made while we were chatting? Look at that. That's really cool. Sorry. Let's see. Cross asked about Hero Forge. We did mention it earlier, Cross. We're going to get that in there as soon as we can. We're working with the API and figuring out how to get that implemented. Stuff like that's not entirely up to us. We also have to work with the other projects, so it comes down to their availability as well. Let's see. Who else? Anyone. I'm just going to start unmuting people randomly and making them say something.
Who's got a question? Anybody else?
Anyone.
Stuff you're
Somebody.
doing.
Anyone. Let's see. I'm trying to. Oh, there's an AMA text chat. Let me see if it's in here too. See, this is the problem with getting so many questions before it starts. Is when you start going, people don't really have anything to
Yeah, I
add
mean that's fine
directly.
if nobody does. But yeah, I mean, if anybody does, we'll take it. If not, there'll be more of these, and you know where to reach us, obviously. Here on Discord and on our socials and everywhere else.
Carton Box. See, you already did it. You've done it now, Grant. Carton Box says you mentioned opening it up for groups to play with a beta member. Any thoughts on how that's going to work out? See, I told you as soon as you said that, we're going to get the when can I get my party the beta. Now, Now you've done it. Okay. My official position is going to be to tag Grant directly anytime you have a question about something that he announces without telling me first.
Um, we are actively discussing that. To be honest, we are not entirely sure how we're going to roll that out, but we have some fun ideas. So, again, stay tuned, and we will be shooting out newsletters about that, and also here in Discord, obviously.
All right, I'm gonna get
Yeah, I mean,
Shalop.
actually, let's ask this. I have a question for everybody. So everybody who's here, uh, I know a lot of people are actively building, but is anybody out there playing with this? And if not, why not? Is it because you don't have your game groups? Has anyone hooked up here in the channel and started playing? Curious to know what's up with that. Anybody have any feedback on that?
Flipping the script, you're putting them on the spot.
That's right. Who's got an answer?
I'm gonna get Shayloth in here to ask you a question real quick while people start to answer you. Hold on. Hey, Shayloth, can you hear us? Shaloth. Yeah, you just gotta unmute yourself at the bottom, Shaloth, and you should be able to talk. There you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I understand we're currently in the beta stages. But for those of us not, with the beta tag, how long before we can begin seeing a working product for those of us that are non-betas?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about that. We are going to be opening it up to because we are basically delaying into the beginning of next year to get all the good stuff in that everybody wants. Make sure it's nice and stable. We're going to be extending beta for all of our Kickstarter users. So you will be seeing announcements soon in email. We're still working on exactly how we're going to roll that out. Like I said, it may be in stages with another 1,000, like that. But in the next couple of weeks, you'll see announcements on that in terms of how it's going to work and when you can expect that. But definitely before launch, so within the next few weeks to a month, I would imagine.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Let me see. We've got okay, AM Bacon. I'm gonna get you involved here. Hold on, AM Bacon. Here we go. All right, AM Bacon, you should be unmuted.
Yeah. You guys hear me?
Great. Yes, we can.
So my question was, I noticed that at time of launch, players will have like a free access type of setting. If we want to have our players come in, and I know we might have access to Hero Forge and stuff like that, and they have created their own player character on there, will they be able to import that into a map that we've created, or will we need to have that loaded into our list of preset stuff that we put into the map for them?
Right. They should be able to bring their player character. We're still working on that. Again, Hero Forge has a programming interface that we can connect to, and so the idea is that you'll create a gaming session, and they join the session, and they can bring their minis into that session. So they should be able to bring their own character into your game.
Okay.
Yeah, just like they would like in real life, right? Like they go out, they buy a mini, and they bring their mini to the table. So that's how it should work. We just have to make sure that it does work that way, but pretty sure it does.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
No problem. Thanks for the question. Trying to see if there's anything else. Do you want to? What we can talk about? I don't think anyone asked it, but we can talk about the flat 2D animated put downs, because you had mentioned it. I think in the newsletter, right? You talked about it a little bit.
What's that?
The flat maps, the negative space and the animation and flat to JPEG. Do you want to talk about how you envision that working and what kind of
it's basically, so again, you'll have some space that you can upload maps to, and you can bring in 2D maps, because we realize that there's a multitude of uses for them. One is we realize that right out of the gate we won't have every piece. Like, you want to do a crazy sci-fi thing with a particular Star Wars ship on it, right? Well, we may not be able to make that or have the 3D tiles for that. Although I'm pretty sure you guys could put something together. But you can upload that map and then have that as like a battle map. So it can be an augmented reality on your table, just like it's actually there. And then you can use your 3D minis to move around and play that way. You can use it as a template to build on top of, which would be cool. I think you can bring in a bunch of the old maps and then just use that to lay out pieces on it. And then, or you do it, a half and half where you have the map and you put walls and stuff on it, and then the rest you can leave and use that as you see in some of the box to board games. And then you can also use them for negative space, so lava and water and stuff like that. And then the idea is to have them animated as well. So you can have animated textures that would give you the water flowing underneath, the lava flowing underneath, like in some of the terrain that we have has holes in them, so you'll be able to see through that and have that underneath. Of course, there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing in the future with really cool water and lava and things like that. But this is a good. This is something we need to bring in so people have flexibility, basically.
Awesome. Fiery Fishy did have a good question. Let me get him in here. Fiery Fishy, get ready to be put on the spot. All right, Fiery Fishy, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
What's going on?
All right, cool.
You guys
Pretty
are
good.
great about actually being
Hi.
there when I say hi. Like this has been great. Usually you guys are
How are
terrible.
you?
This is awesome.
Good.
Good deal. It's nice when things
You hear
work.
me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm watching a
But yeah.
video.
Oh, Bacon, I gotta mute you again. Sorry, bud.
Sorry.
There we go. I muted Bacon again. All right, Fiery Fish, you want to shoot your question over to Grant?
Sure thing. I was just seeing if y'all are planning to utilize any sort of like AI or random map generators.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to do that for sure. We've been talking about that. Some cool things that we can do there. Again, we'll start out with some of the ease of building tools that I was talking about, where you'll be able to, take a piece and drag out multiple copies of it for floors and things like that. So that's how we'll start. Then we'll have some, dungeon generation stuff that you can make a room or stuff like that will, and connectors and things like that will easily do that. And then, yes, we are investigating all manners of AI to make this process very cool. And there's something that I can't really talk about right now that I would love to be able to do, but it's very, very difficult. So we'll see if we can pull that off. But yes, we're looking at AI to do a multitude of things. So stay tuned on that. But it'll start out with ease of use building tools. The AI stuff will always be an addition, because we also, there's a lot of random dungeon generator things out there, but which is great for when you don't have time, or you're a lazy DM or whatever. But we also, of course, want the ability for people to make very specific things, like we're doing here, right? Like going in and make very specific maps. And the idea is that you'll be able to put all of these up on the marketplace. People will be able to download all of your maps, and that way, you're like, oh, I need Curse of Strahd level 4 or whatever, and you'll be able to get all that stuff. So
Awesome.
yes.
Yeah. Let me get Magdie's in here. She had a question. I'm not sure what she means. Hold on. Thank you so much, Fiery. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Magdie's. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm talking about domestic, like kitchens and bathrooms.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I have this lovely kitchen, and it doesn't have a sink, it doesn't have dishes, and I'd love to see those kind of things.
You mean
more
like
props?
Props, correct.
props? Got you. So more like props. Like we have the table with the lantern and the food on it and stuff. You want more of that kind of stuff?
That would be lovely.
Yeah. No, we have. Again, we're talking to all of our manufacturers and partners, and there's no limit to the amount of cool stuff. So that's good to hear. And if you guys do have particular asset categories like that you're looking for, make sure and put it in the Discord. And Eric, keep a note of that, so that we can prioritize that stuff, because we are actively looking right now on what is the next step that we want to bring in. There's stuff I'm looking at, which is filling out, like in the Kickstarter there was like the basic sets of things, and then there's a lot of extra pieces that can fill that out, in terms of like roof style pieces to be able to make really complex building shapes. There's interactive trap stuff. There's outdoor terrain, stuff like that. But I know people are always in for more props, so we'll definitely look at that as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Throw pillows.
throw pillows.
Everybody needs throw pillows.
Absolutely.
I agree. That really will just fill out the perfect map. Throw pillows. Make a room always look
Sounds
nice.
good. We'll look for those.
Yeah, and Tanis had mentioned modern day assets as well. So we have fantasy and we have futuristic, and Tanis is wondering about the modern pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. We are talking to manufacturers about that because we do want to be able to support those types of games, which also includes, sci-fi, superhero stuff, urban warfare, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's definitely on the radar as well.
Awesome. I think that that's an hour exactly. So let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much as usual. I have such a good time hanging out with you guys in Discord, and whenever Grant can make it over here, I know that you guys really appreciate his time as well. And we'll try to do these, probably around once a month whenever there's bigger updates and new exciting stuff is happening. But yeah, thanks. And Grant, if you want to give us a goodbye, and we'll sign off here.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much, and thanks for joining, and really appreciate all your feedback. Keep giving, bugs and feature requests through the icon in the app and on feedbear.mirrorscape.com. Yeah, we will, we are really paying attention to what you guys want and, actively putting that on our schedule. So, I think it goes without saying because you guys are very vocal, but make sure and tell us what you want, what you are. So that's great. Thank you so much.
They do not have a problem with that. All right, guys. And
No.
if you want a copy of my amazing build that I've just done while we're hanging out, drop me a line. I'll put it in the map screen share. All right, guys.
Cool.
Take it easy. Thank you.
Everybody, have a good night.
Bye-bye.